Hey, well, there we are. This is night number two. Billy Strings is not that I was here for night number one, but they were for sure. And there's one more night to go. Halloween tomorrow night being the big one. But boy, these two shows leading up to it, last night from what I saw and heard, everything was really incredible. Gollum showing back up tonight again with many other special guests. John Stickley showing up in there. Wasn't sure who that was. Like, who's this guy? And then right away makes his presence felt. He was there early in the show, returns late. And then I hope I'm getting her name right. Anne Fung, I believe it was. She shows up again. Tatiana Silver, a little bit easier name to deal with on that one there. And at one point, they were all up there. At one point, maybe there was the band and one or two of them, and then the band and two or three of them. And then by the time they got to the crescendo of the show, they were all up there. And it kind of, normally like four or five people members in a band. That's kind of the sweet spot for me. You start getting six, seven, eight, even nine people. It's like, this is ridiculous. Get out of here. I mean, some of these people even turned on. Well, it seemed they seemed to really work, and obviously they've rehearsed and everything for this, but man, just for I mean, it's obviously they haven't had a ton of time on stage together, especially when there's all nine of them up there, and man, just absolutely incredible. Not to start with the end, but that Freeborn Man, that had to be one of the greatest ones ever played. Had already declared that earlier about So Many Miles. And about every time I hear All Fall Down, I think that's probably the best one I've ever heard, although there's many, many great ones of that. So many. Miles. So we got started out the Lord of the Rings thing. Theme was still a thing, obviously, going on tonight. It's going to be throughout the whole weekend. And then getting going early after that with Watch It Fall, Long Forgotten Dream, Running and Running the Route. That was probably the first big, big moment of the first set for me, anyhow. Hold on a second. Okay, all right, we're back. My kitten was giving it hell in there. I was making sure she wasn't like drowning in the toilet or something. Tell you, man, she's a nightmare. So where were we? I think we were somewhere around Royal Massat. No, I don't know. Running the route, like I said, that was. And then there was a nice run of originals to start the show too. Got into a Gordon Lightfoot cover. My dad, growing up, my dad was a big Gordon Lightfoot fan. So every time I hear him, I get real excited. Oh, it's Gordon Lightfoot! Ah! My dad not really getting into Billy Strings. In fact, still sometimes calls him Jimmy Strings. Kind of hurts every time. I'm like, man. Remember, there was a time when my dad was cool. Now he calls him Jimmy Strings. So then we got Black Mountain Rag. This is around the time John joined him on stage, and it's Billy's always going to be the star, but I mean this guy could hold his own on a guitar, obviously. Then we got a Pearl Jam cover. There was a song in there I didn't really know. We had eight people on stage at that point. It was right before Show Me the Door. Somebody will have to help me there somewhere. I believe it was after Black Mountain Rag and In My Tree. So then there was another one there right before Tennessee Stud. I don't remember really what that one was. Wasn't writing down every song. And then, I guess it just gets spoiled by Fish Twitter, just hitting you up with the set list all along. So then we get in, so for the first set, probably run everything, I hate to use the word standard because it was all very good. And the Lord of the Rings theme thing still going on throughout. Gollum out there having a few moments. I was a little worried early on that Gollum might. I was like, man, I bought this webcast for Gollum, essentially. I mean, I'm kind of joking. Not really, though. I mean, that was pretty amazing last night. So then Tennessee Stud ending the set really strong. And Tuesday, but speaking of that, Tennessee Stud and Freeborn Man, when I first started getting into Billy, those were two of my favorite covers. So ending strong sets tonight with those. Have a Feast opening up the second set, and then Pete on a Bird. Perhaps I couldn't tell if Royal was like just laying way back on stage because it seemed like through all the smoke and the lights, you could see the big bass sitting there and thought maybe even. So then we get the reveal after Feast and Pete on a Bird, Gollum getting down with some vocals on Pete on a Bird. I think Billy tried to get him to talk a little bit there, but Gollum was not going to break character. I'm not sure what was going on with Billy there, what he thought, but he tried to get a story started, and he was like, Gollum, you tell the story. And Gollum's like, I don't tell stories, dude. I'm just this crazy thing over here. Then we got Knights in White Satin after Royal had made the transformation into the bright, shining white wizard, I guess. So Many Miles, not to be, Billy failing not to be over. He's like, no, we're not going to let Royal Massat take over this show. So then we get probably the greatest So Many Miles I've ever heard live or anywhere. Live, obviously, is going to be, well, the studio's pretty solid. And fishing after that, Billy's got to remind you, like, hey, I know it's Halloween, we're doing this Lord of the Rings thing, but I'm still really into fishing. There's a time, and then All Fall Down again. Almost every time they play it, it's going to be the highlight. And then we got after the All Fall Down, and everybody getting to show off a little bit in that one. And then that was another moment where it was like, man, how are they this just like this tight and on it, man? When they, they would hit these peaks, and then boom, it was just like, just feel like you need some time on stage to be that good. But nah, man, I guess when everybody's good, that's the deal. And then there's this part in Wargasm when it's jamming out. Kind of, last year I believe they played it on Halloween. This year, the night before, Billy starts to roam. We get roaming Billy, some roaming charges, and then he gets deep, goes way right face to face with the crowd. And I was very impressed with the crowd. Nobody like reached out to grab him or try to touch his guitar or pull his hair, anything weird like that, and try to touch his penis. None of that, man. One guy even was like backing up and trying to give Billy space. He was really rocking, and this guy, speaking of Billy's penis, it was a mere inches probably from this guy's face. But perhaps that's why he was backing up. I thought he was just giving old William Apostle some space to rock out there in the front row, giving it the head banging, the Ace Frehley head shake, which I appreciate. And then, we got Morning Light and Taking Water, a couple of more originals. Billy said In the Morning Light was requested. I mean, if you're going to request a song, I love that song. But man, if Billy's going to fill your requests, it's a shame. That's the one that got filled. Yeah, I like that song. I shouldn't shit on that. And after everything, I mean, they didn't have much left. But then for Freeborn Man, they proved we do, in fact, have something left. That's when all 9 of them were out there, including Gollum. Tatiana was getting down, man, and Alex could not handle it. Anytime Gollum would get down and they'd be face to face, he would just start laughing or smiling, and he would almost have to turn away. He's like, I can't look at this guy, man. I cannot play and look at him. They went at it a little bit, similar to last night in Meet Me at the Creek. I don't know what one. All Fall Down, Freeborn Man, Pete on a Bird. I don't know, man. A lot of highlights. That first part, that Black Mountain Rag, was really solid. The Gordon Lightfoot song gets a little fist bump. I have to call my dad, tell him Jimmy Strings played more Gordon Lightfoot, and So Many Miles. Wow. I haven't fully been on, like I've mentioned before, when I go see him live, then for some reason I don't listen for a while. So I missed quite a few shows between Hooba Heights, and tonight. So I don't know. Maybe you're like, bro, So Many Miles completely dominates every time they play it. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? All right, guys, boom, we're out of here. Thanks for watching. And if you made it this far, boom, give you a double boom. Billy, Royal, Alex, Jared, Gollum, John, and Tatiana. 2 thumbs up. And that guy that got out of Billy's way. Might have been